Welcome back to my channel. This is Tanzil Mirza. Today we'll start MongoDB, and this is going to be the very first video in this series, and we'll talk about MongoDB from the very basic, and not only MongoDB but also Mongoose will cover if time permits and other related concepts. This is going to be a very basic video on MongoDB, and it's going to be a theory session basically. So this is because first we'll have to understand the MongoDB ecosystem, and in the upcoming videos we'll write the code also to establish connection and see the things actually happening. But for now, let's learn some basic concepts. Okay, so let me ask you this question: what is MongoDB? Let's start with the very basic question: what is MongoDB? So if we go by the definition given on the internet, MongoDB is an open source NoSQL database program. Let's break this into smaller parts and try to simplify this definition. So the first part is MongoDB is an open source. Okay, what does that mean? This is simple, right? This means that MongoDB is available free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for using MongoDB, at least not for the basic plan or basic tier that we are going to use in this video and in the upcoming videos as well. So now let's try to understand the second part, which says MongoDB is a NoSQL database program. What is meant by NoSQL database? Or let me ask you, what is an SQL based database system? Well, we know that SQL based database system is entirely dependent on a language called SQL, or structured query language. That means to insert or to delete or update, we have to execute a specific statement in a specific format and in a specific language. There are tuples, there are methods and whatnot. It's a full-fledged database system and has its own fan base also. While on the other hand, a NoSQL database like MongoDB is free from any such language, is free from any such format. It is based entirely on the objects having key and value pairs. There are lots and lots of benefits of using a NoSQL database. Normal SQL DB is row oriented database, while NoSQL database works absolutely fine with structured, semi-structured or even unstructured data, unrelated data. It is fast, more scalable and less complex as compared to the traditional SQL database system. I have one screenshot. I took it from one of my projects. Let me zoom in if it is visible. Yeah, so this is how the data is stored in MongoDB. We can see that these are the objects, and each record is one object, and each object is known as one document, and all these documents together they form one collection. So we can compare SQL and Mongo. There is a difference between the terminology actually, but we can compare both SQL and MongoDB side by side. I have prepared one more slide for that, just a comparison. Yeah, so let's say we have a SQL database which is like MySQL, and we have MongoDB. So tuple or row in MySQL is known as document in MongoDB, and the entire table in MySQL is known as one collection. So we can say that collection is a collection or a group of documents. Similarly, we can say that a table is comprised of several rows or tuples. So this is how it works. This is how the structure will look like. As you can see, this looks like a normal JSON object. Okay, so this being said, now we'll see how to set up an account on MongoDB, and I'll be using MongoDB Cloud. The reason is it's pretty quick and easy. We can install MongoDB on local also, but installing MongoDB on your local can be tricky sometimes. See, there are version differences, there are OS differences. You are using Windows, I'm using Linux, so let's use the cloud only. Let's close this thing. We don't need this anymore. Okay, now I'll open the browser and I'll simply type Mongo, and it should be the first link. Oh my goodness, MongoDB, and it should be the first link. Yeah, mongodb.com. Okay, Now I'll try to sign up for that. Let's go to sign in. The UI may change, guys. They keep on enhancing and changing the UI. So while recording this video, the UI looks like this, and maybe they'll change it in future. Anyway, so now just click on sign up, and these are the some basic information that it will be asking. Now it's asking for the email. I'll give one email here. I'll be using this email. Okay, guys, let me pause this video because filling up this form will take some time. So I'll just cut the crap and I'll directly show you the filled up form. So I have filled up this form. Now I'll just simply accept the privacy policy, and I'll just click on sign up. Save the password. I'm sure it will send a verification email on this email ID. Yeah, so it is asking me to verify my email. Let's quickly do that as well. Here is the email verification email that I was looking for, and I'll just verify the email. Continue. All right. The registration is successful. I think it's taking me to the home page. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah, organization correct, project 0 correct. I'll just skip this part. Okay, now I'm going to create I'll just use this thing, this free one. Okay, so I'll just click on create, and from here nothing much here. I'll just use this Mumbai, as I am in Asia, Mumbai. Create the cluster, and it will take a couple of minutes. Here you can see your cluster is being created, and new cluster take between 1 to 3 minutes to provision. And here you can see the live status as well. Let it complete. Here are some updates of the process. We are deploying your changes 0 of 3 servers complete. So you can trace the process here as well. Let it complete. I can see that 3 of 3 servers complete. Let me just refresh the page and see if it is created. Okay, it's still in process, and it's completed. Okay, now we need to create so by default the cluster is 0, and by default the project is also 0. We need a project, we need a cluster, we need a database, and in that database we need a collection. Okay, so first I'll click on this connect. Okay, so here we can see there are 3 options: add your current IP address, add a different IP address, or allow access from anywhere. You can selectively allow IPs. That means you can decide who can access your cluster, but I'll go with this option, allow access from anywhere. I'll click on this, and IP address is this, and description is optional, so I'm not doing that. Okay, now I'll just go there, and I'm going to create one database user. Okay, so let me call it MyDB, and the password I'll give. And I'll create the database user. Let's save it, and then I'll click on choose a connection method. Here I'll be getting 3 options: using connect via MongoDB shell, connect using MongoDB Compass, but we'll be using application. Okay, and after this application, after we click on that button, we'll be getting this string. This string is very important, and I'm going to save this string in my local file. Actually, we need this string to establish the connection between our application and MongoDB. That's why it is also known as connection string. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this part. Okay, and how do I save it? Let me just create one terminal. I'll go there, cd documents. Let me save it in documents only. Gedit, and I'll call it connection string. Tomorrow we'll be using this string only, and it can be of text. I'll save it here. So tomorrow, when we'll be actually using this string in our application, in our node application, we'll replace this password with our actual password. So we are not going to do the coding today, so let it be like that. I'll just save it here, and I'll close it. We don't need this as well, and then we can click on close. One more thing, here you can decide the driver and the version also. Sorry, I forgot to talk about this. So you can select whatever programming language you are using, whatever driver you are using, and what is the version. So by default I'll be using Node.js, and by default the version is 3.7 or later. I'll just click on close. And also guys, I'm not explicitly reading these messages, but please, while you are creating these things, while you are creating an account, setting up the account, please carefully read all these messages. Okay, I'll just skip this thing and I'll hit close. Okay, and then I'll go to the browse collections. Okay, it is trying to retrieve all the databases, but there is no database created yet. Let's quickly create one. Instead of going to load a sample dataset, I'll go to add my own data. Okay, the database that I'm going to create is, let's decide now. Okay, let's call it showroom. Okay, and the collection name will be cars. So tomorrow we'll be creating an application to store all the models that we have. Okay, showroom cars, and hit create. Operation is in progress, and yes, it is created. So you can see we have cluster 0, project 0. Inside that we have, first we start with the organization. Our organization is a student. Under organization we have a project called 0. Under that project 0 we have cluster 0, and under this cluster 0 we have this database showroom, and under this database we have one collection called cars. Okay, right now it's empty. I can manually insert one document here, but I don't want to do that. We'll do this tomorrow via our code, our Node.js code. So this was the minimal setup for MongoDB. Tomorrow we'll be pushing our data into the same collection here itself, and this being done, I just realized we have overshot the time already. My plan was to cover mongoose also in this session itself, but I think we cannot cover that in the same session, but that will take another 10 to 15 minutes, so I don't want to, so let's not stretch this session further. So let's close it here itself. In the next video we'll learn about mongoose only. We'll see how mongoose is used to create the model, is used to create the schema. I'll tell you what's the connection between, and we'll see what's the connection between mongoose and MongoDB. So that's all for today. I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned. This was the very first video. We'll be doing more sessions on this. I'll be uploading more videos on MongoDB in this series itself. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.